Okay. I can take this down, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, Coach Fisher. We've got a bunch of media members here on the Zoom. You want to make an opening statement first, and then we'll take some questions.
First of all, hey, you know how happy I am to see y'all. Yeah, I never thought you'd ever hear me hear a coach say that. I'm happy to see the media, huh? No, I am. I'm very happy to see you. It's great to be back. And people say, you know, what's the biggest thing you take away from practice is it was practice. And you got back out there and we got to doing what we're doing. And, you know, the kids were very excited. You could see the excitement in their bodies. The coaches were, everybody involved. I mean, it was different with the social distancing and coaching with the mask. And they asked if I could wear 4 masks so they didn't have to hear me. So they asked if I could put a couple more on to make sure I was safe. That would help them out. So we may have to work on that. But it was great to be out there. I was very happy with our staff and the organizations. And, you know, that's, as you think about it, it's the first time we've been on the field since bowl practice, as far as actual football related activities with the practice. So our kids were very excited, did a good job. And for our first practice, had great energy, had great enthusiasm, had some really good execution on things. And of course, some things we got to clean up. And as I say, had a lot of new faces out there. Those young freshmen were out there. I thought they all I'm very happy we signed every one of them. Those guys all showed a lot of the things in which we thought in recruiting, their size, their speed, their athleticism, their work ethic. I mean, you saw the ability to play football, and very happy with that. And our upperclassmen, I thought, really felt a lot of leadership on that field yesterday. I really did. I thought Kellen was outstanding yesterday. I thought McCollum up front. I thought Dan. I thought Carson Green, you felt those guys up front. Jamon out wide. I thought on defense, I felt Liao and Michael Clemens, boy, their energy level, their ability to chase the ball, just them bouncing around and playing and doing things I thought was outstanding. And where we were, some of the Miles Jones I felt good about in the secondary. I mean, you felt him and listened to him. But guys, happy to be out there, guys, and did a really good job. So for an overall first practice, happy, and got a lot of things to work on, but, you know, we're heading that way. Questions?
All right. First question is going to go to Brent Zwerneman from the Houston Chronicle.
Imagine that.
I was going to say, Jimbo, good to see you one way or the other. And,
yeah, you too, buddy.
Okay, thank you. Well, wanted to ask you about Kellen and how rare it is to have a 4-year starter, your expectations for him, and also the idea that he's not only become kind of a voice for you on the field, but off the field as well.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's really, as you say, it's not that he's matured, because he's always been very mature, but you see him growing up. He's turned into a man. And I thought you felt him yesterday, not only his play, I thought he had a really good day yesterday. I thought he played well, going through reads and doing things I thought was really good. But just his ability, I saw him grabbing guys on the side, other quarterbacks teach him, other receivers, other backs, even linemen. You felt his presence and leadership very much yesterday in what he was doing, and, you know, very pleased with his performance overall.
Next, we'll go to Chip Howard from Sports Talk, and then we'll go to Mike Lucas.
Jimbo, have you had any players opt out or discussed with any players who are concerned enough to come to you about that?
Yeah, we've had one player opt out. That was James Foster, quarterback. We've had one player opt out.
All right, Mike Lucas from KAGS.
I can't hear you, Mike. I don't know if you're talking.
Coach, good to see you again. Sorry, I had a little issue.
Right.
After the wonky offseason, all the COVID stuff, do you think it's going to be tougher for some of these young guys, especially the freshmen, to see the field in real game action with this kind of condensed camp, even though it's 6 weeks or 5 weeks?
Well, I mean, I think it does for the guys that came early. I think it's tough. I mean, you know, they could have made a much more improvement because we didn't get the practices in, but we did get a lot of walkthroughs and things. So I think from that standpoint, knowing what to do, but we got extra time to work with them in that regard. So there could be some positives out of that, especially for the guys who weren't early. When they come in, they wouldn't have gotten as much with us as a staff as they did in this offseason. But to say that, listen, they're going to have to. I really believe that. You're going to have to build your depth. You're going to have guys ready. You don't know when. As I said, one day you could be a third teamer. Next day you could be a first teamer. We don't know what's about to happen in the future. Hopefully nothing happens to anybody. And we play right down, you know, by what we have them listed. But, you know, keeping a rotation, developing players. And, you know, in this league, especially when you just added 2 more SEC games after your 8 to 10, the physicality of this league, you're going to have guys ready because guys are going to get bruised and banged, and hopefully you can develop these guys where you can keep rotations and keep a lot of guys fresh and feel comfortable playing them. So, you say that, but at the same time, you're going to have to count on them. You're going to have to get them ready as quick as you can.
Next, we'll go to Gabe Bach from Texags, and then we'll go to Tyler Shaw.
Hey, Jimbo. Hope you're doing
Hello.
well. What have you seen, Jimbo, from Leon O'Neal from the time he announced his intentions on social media to enter the portal and then decide not to? How far has he grown, really, both physically and mentally since then?
Well, I'm going to
Jimbo?
say this. He has been a hard worker. He did a great job, I thought, leading out there yesterday. You could hear him, but he is probably in as good a physical shape as I've ever seen him. I think his offseason, he has really worked his tail off. His times, his weight, the way how he's running seems to be really, really good. And he seemed to have a really good day yesterday in the films we saw. I mean, of course, we had a couple mistakes here and there and them guys in communication, but, little things, but seemed to play very well and did a really nice job. So, and we hope so because we're going to count on – Leon will be counted upon this year to play well. Hopefully he'll play really well.
Tyler Shaw from KBTX, and then Sam Kahn.
Hey, Coach. From some of your freshman breakouts last year, like Jalen Weidemeyer and Isaiah Spiller, what have you seen from them to start a camp? I mean, do you expect that they're going to continue on their high trajectory that they were last year?
They daggone sure better. We need them to, and that's one thing I say that, you always worry. Those guys are both very hardworking guys. They're smart guys, very talented guys. So they're going to have to. I thought they did a good job yesterday. But, there's always a learning curve, I think, when you have instant success and then you come back with those expectations. And sometimes, and I'm not saying these guys do that. I'm just saying this is what we have to see. You always hear that sophomore jinx. Well, sophomore jinx doesn't become a jinx if you just keep grinding and understand, no, I'm not going to do what I did last year. I'm going to be the best I can be. I'm not saying they've done anything wrong, but, those guys are going to be counted upon heavily and can really help us become a really, really good football team because there's a lot of touches between those guys and a lot of blocks, not just touches with the ball. They got to be complete players because they're at a position where you have to be a complete player. You have to be a back and a tight end. You have to do both. And I'm hoping that that their maturity levels, which I seem to be great, that they can take that step and really grow and expand on their roles and their production.
Let's go to Sam Kahn from ESPN.com, and then we'll go to Owen Buchanan.
Hey, Jimbo, do you have anybody on the roster that is expected to miss a significant portion of camp or time because of injury or health reasons?
I don't believe so right now. We have nobody who is actually right now who is positive. We have a couple guys who were quarantined out of precaution from another thing but have tested negative. But they have to set a little bit of time and should be here relatively back quickly. And I'm trying to think. A couple guys have now they're on the roster. Guys that may be short in practice that had injuries that are coming back but should be back within a week or so going full speed.
But nothing significant.
Nothing, no. Not that I'm less – and I apologize if I miss. I'll text you if I do. But right now off the top of my head, I cannot think of any.
And what you guys do in terms of managing just testing and guys just having good habits over the course of the
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Our guys have done a tremendous job the second half of this summer of understanding how to do that because it was all a learning curve. And like I say, that's why I think we're free right now. You know what I'm saying? Our guys are, and if we do have a case or so, guys are minimal of who is quarantined, what they're doing. They're keeping a great social distancing. And what was the first part of that question you asked? What was it? I apologize.
I guess just
right now, testing wise, once the season starts, we'll be 2 times to 3 times a week and practice and all those things. Right now, we're once a week. We test them all coming back. And right now, presently in camp, we are testing 1 time a week unless there is any symptoms on a guy. But you know something, they just give me, no, I forgot. Adarius Jones is out. He had a knee injury this summer in workouts. That he will be out for the season. I apologize. It reminded me, Sam.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Owen Buchanan and then Travis Brown. Somebody unmute him, please.
Hello.
Hello, Jimbo. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry about that. What have you seen from Kenyon Green, and what are your plans for him? Will he work at both positions, or do you think you're planning on keeping him at guard?
Right now, this year, because of our 2 tackles coming back, we got him at guard. We actually have him at left guard. We flipped him to left guard and Hawker to right guard right now and what we're doing. But he's playing guard, and he will play tackle also. It's like we'll move guys around in case injuries occur and things like that and have them be able to do multiple things. You're always doing that up front.
And you also mentioned Ryan McCollum being showing a lot of leadership. Does that mean that he's your likely starter at center?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Long answer, wasn't
That's all I needed.
it?
All right, on to Travis Brown from the Eagle. And then Kurt
Coach.
Bowles.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Hey, how has the COVID-19 protocols changed the way that practice looks, the way it feels, and then the way that you've had to put together practice plans and the like?
Well, I mean, from a practice plan standpoint, once we are able to get a lot of the conditioning back, they're very similar. There's a lot less people out there. Nobody, you can't have any bystanders, only the people that are the necessity for us to be able to practice within the organization from that standpoint. And then, but I mean, out there having the shields on, having the mask, all the coaches on a mask, all the different things you have to do that way. And we're trying to keep the guys, we know when they stand around on the side or in the back, you got to spread them out as much as you possibly can to keep them away from each other for periods of time. So from that standpoint, you got people always reminding those guys to get, to separate, not be bunched up where then you have to, and I'll tell you one thing it does, it makes you talk more between each other. They have to communicate, they have to talk louder because to be able to hear, because you can't be all standing beside each other and things. But, but practice itself went pretty good. The intensity in that part of it was well.
Let's go to Kurt Bowles from the Austin American Statesman, and then we'll go to Greg Bailey.
Yeah, Jimbo, I was curious about the new schedule, how it was arranged. Does Nick determine that, or was it picked at random, or how does the new schedule work out?
Well, you throwing a softball. How far you want me to hit that one?
All the way out of the park.
I don't know. I may take it. I don't know. But it was our, hey, listen, you got to play them all anyway. But things are what they are, and they do what they do, and you can't worry about that. Everybody in this league has a good team, so that's the way it is, and things that happen. So, we got a heck of a schedule with teams, and we got to just worry about ourselves and play as best we can.
Do you like playing Alabama in week 2?
Yeah, I like playing. I mean, hey, listen, you want to be the best, you got to go compete against the best. Playing them up there will be tough. They've got a great team, so you're going to play them. So we might as well play them at the get-go.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Greg Bailey at ABC 13 in Houston.
Jimbo, the move from 8 to 10 games in an SEC schedule, which is obviously a line of scrimmage league, how important does the play up front on both sides of the ball become for you? And where are you progress-wise with those two groups? How good can they be?
I think right now that's a great question, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this league is as much as the skill are, you got to have the guys up front that play. You got to make those guys up front, got to allow the guys, whether it's in the secondary or your receivers and quarterbacks and backs, tight ends, to make plays. And the physicality of this league really concerns you. Now, up front in the offensive line, we've got a group of guys that have played a lot of football, that have started, and they're there. We feel very comfortable. Right now, we got to develop every backup for 2 reasons. 1, because of physicality of the league, and 2, because of COVID and the situations that occur. Defensive line-wise, I think our depth is as good as it's been. I think we got some really good guys up front. I mean, I thought, like I said, Michael Clemens, Leal, Jaden Peavy yesterday, those guys all did a really good – you felt those guys. And then you still have Bobby Brown. You got Rob. I mean, there's a lot of young guys in there, that talent, Tyree and all those guys. I mean, there's some guys in there that can really play with a good group of freshmen coming. So we're developing depth, developing those guys, feel very comfortable, but we got to continue to have depth at those positions.
We're going to go back to Olin Buchanan and then to Mike Lucas. Unmute Olin, please.
Okay, there we go.
You sure? I liked him on mute better. I liked you on mute better.
So many people say that. I was actually going to ask you what Kirk asked, but let me ask you this then. When you look at Kellen's performance the last couple of years, how much of a concern to you are the number of turnovers? Do you feel like he's
well, I mean, here's what you say about turnovers. Any turnover is a bad turnover. Right. Any turnover anybody has is you can't have. But at the same time, he's had a couple fumbles, and we work on ball security. Sometimes he gets hit on the side of, not expecting to get hit, but that doesn't matter. Your control of the ball, any turnover is there. But also as a quarterback, sometimes you can play not to have a turnover, but you also won't have any big plays. You have to be able to throw the ball in there and we have to make some plays, and chances have to be taken and have to be educated chances is what I say. I say play aggressive. We always talk about playing aggressively intelligent and how we do things. But, and sometimes you're forced into those situations. As he matures and his decision-making gets better and better and I don't care if you play 5 years, your 10th year in the league, your 6th year in the league, you always get better. So I think he'll continue on that, and I think his big plays will pick up. But at the same time, you got to be careful and not make them so hesitant that they don't want to make a play, and you just got to find out how to do it the right way. And I think he'll do that. And I've been, like I said, just our conversations with him and just the way we talk now and the maturity, he understands how I think and what we want, and I understand him better and how to coach him, how to help him. I think it's getting better and better, and I expect him to play well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mike Lucas and then to Sam Kahn.
Coach, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
We saw those clips you guys sent out yesterday, and there was one play in particular where Demas kind of looked like he was running in 10 times faster than everyone else. Him and Shane. Do you feel like the team speed overall with those two guys in particular is going to be a strength for you guys this year?
We made that comment when Kelly and I were talking yesterday, and some of the other linemen guys have felt that our team speed has increased. Two things. One, our younger guys that we're recruiting are getting faster, and our older guys have worked really hard and are running really well. We felt much more athletic as far as speed in terms of that yesterday on the field, and it looked that way. And that's that's not anything about the past, but our guys, we do look like we're running pretty well. Our big guys, too, not just in our skill guys, but our big guys are moving well. Our guys are in shape. They seem to be in good shape.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, let's go to Sam Kahn.
Jimbo, how much of an advantage through this uncertain last 6-7 months and unconventional last 6-7 months has it been to have a stable coaching staff?
Very much so. And even the new guys that come in, almost everybody had been around me at some point in time. You know what I mean? And what we do in our system and how we want to do things. So Ed has been, I have been able to lean on them when other things have happened because, I've made 30,000. I've made between 40 and 50 season plans now that everything changes every other day and practice plans and all that. And you're back and forth doing a lot of things administratively. And now you feel very comfortable when you're out of that room, the guys that are in there that know what to do, how you want it done, offensively, defensively, special teams. And from that standpoint, it's really, really benefited.
All right, let's move on to Gabe Bach and then Justin Woodard.
Jimbo, speaking of that team speed and those shiny new weapons that you have, I know it's early, but even leading up to camp, when you're talking to your players, has any one or two, especially offensively, those young guys really stood out? And what can that do to change your offense, having all that speed?
Well, I think this. I think really all those guys. I think there's a lot of those guys that have a chance, not just any one or two. It's going to be interesting. And it goes back to how they learn and how they can apply it to football, not just running on the field. That's the other part of that. And we got to make sure they understand that. But two things affect the games right now more than anything. First is turnovers, creating them and not giving them up. And two is big plays. Those chunk plays, those drives that, that make you brilliant as a coach, they're 1- and 2-play drives. They make 14 guys miss and run around the field, and that's great coaching. You know what I mean? And those big play abilities, the ability to hit that deep ball, the ability to catch a short pass and run or break a big run or, create the interception on defense or, stopping big plays and creating big plays. So, and you got to have athletic speed guys to be able to do that. So hopefully it'll help greatly.
All right, we'll move on to Justin Woodard and then Kirk Bowles. Is that another question?
Hey, Coach, building off that, we saw a sneak peek of Anaya Smith in that bowl game back there with Kellen. How versatile can he be for you guys this year?
Very versatile. He's going to stay there, and then we'll do different things with him as we go. But he's very natural. And I've said this. It's one of the reasons I love my biggest, as I say, love affair with him. It came when he in recruiting was people said, "Well, what is he?" My description was football player. He understands he has a naturalness to the game, whether he's a running back, whether he's a receiver, whether he's a returner. And I feel if he had to be, he could be a heck of a DB. I really do. I think he has a natural instinct to play this game along with a set of physical skills and a toughness and competitiveness that I think is very good. And so I think, being able to, whatever we can create matchups with or get the ball in his hands, I think good things will happen.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with Kirk Bowles and then on to Chip Howard. Last two questions.
Yeah, Jimbo, I was curious, what do you think the advantages the three major conferences could have by playing football when you have Big Ten and Pac-12 not playing?
Well, I think right now, first of all, is you're the only game in town. So the publicity part of that, the ability to see you, know what's going on, and even more people who may not is, I know everybody thinks everybody in the world watches SEC football, that nobody else watches another league, but some people do watch other leagues. And so to find ball, they're going to have to come here. So you could even draw more fans to the SEC and what it's about and what it is, because you're one of the 3 games in town. You're going to have a lot of marquee matchups by making more league games. So it's going to make it very interesting. It's like the NFL every week. And they're all good games, and going to be great players against great players and great coaches against great coaches and so on and so forth. So I think from that standpoint, and I think financially, whatever that ramification turns out to be. But I also think that, possibly that how we can adjust to this COVID world, that if we can keep things in perspective like we think we can, and we can function in this world, because I think learning to function with this disease or, going forward and showing that it can be, you're never going to stop anything. We don't want anybody to get sick, but we can still live our lives and keep the protocols in place and show that. So we're talking about, notoriety and everything for the league, but also I think for our country that maybe we're the first step in helping say that we could get back to normality and still be able to function within this COVID until we can find a cure that way to live a normal life, or as close to a normal life as we possibly can.
And a huge boost in recruiting too?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I mean, it helps. And I think hopefully in the future as it goes, it'll help more.
All right, I had missed a request from Travis, so we'll go to Chip and then we'll finish with Travis.
Jimbo, have you had discussions, or will you have discussions with the players about national anthem protocols, sitting or kneeling or standing?
Well, they have their own, like I said, that's everybody's right. And we talk about those issues within our unity council and everything all the time, the different protocols. But the one thing about college football, we're not out there doing the national anthem. So as far as that goes, that, for us, that will not be an issue in that regard. But we have those discussions anyway, because there are issues in our country that these young men have to make decisions about and things and how they do things. So we have those discussions in our unity councils and different issues all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Travis, finish us up.
Yeah, Coach, I was wondering with how much of the conversation has drawn towards a look towards heart health and how that might be tied in with COVID-19. Do you have any anecdotes, or looking back on your career, any instances with players where the seriousness of heart health in these athletes has become apparent to you, and how important is adding in the imaging, heart imaging and stuff like that to return to play right now?
Tremendous. We were one of the schools in the beginning in our protocols coming back. We did tests on the heart. We did tests on the kidneys, the lungs, all the different organs in which it can possibly affect. And then we added a few with these last protocols that came in. Because one thing about A&M, the great resources you have here, that we're going to do everything first class and do what's best for our student athletes and our players first and foremost. So, but we have found out that certain guys, when they come back and we test and we go put them through the workouts, we start the workouts when they come back, guys have come back differently. Some guys have come back a little slower, and some of their functions have been a little different. So we cut their workouts back, and we've been able to test and do that and stay as safe as we possibly can. And thank God that we've been able to do that so far.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Great to see y'all.
Thanks, Coach.